Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to my channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you're coming back. So we're nearing the end of January, so the first month of 2024 is about to be over. So I think it's important for us to revisit the initial plans that we had for our planners and journals for the year, and check to see what's been working and what's not. So moving forward, before we enter February, we can already make a few changes and adjustments to accommodate the things that we realized were actually not working for us. So today, I will be showing you guys just 3 of my 5 planners. So at the start of the year, I decided that I would have 5 planners or journals, and a main purpose will be set for each one. So I did have my personal planner. So this is the Sterling Ink N1 in a Traveler's Notebook cover, Traveler's Company cover. I have my Financial and Faith Planner. Also on the Sterling Ink Common Planner, but this one is the N2 size, which is the weeks size. I have a work planner, which I actually cannot show you at the moment as I don't have it. I have a daily reflection and gratitude journal, which is the Hobonichi Weeks. I forgot the name of this cover specifically, but this is a weeks regular. And I have a photo journal with my hours planner, and I also don't have that, so I will only be showing you these 3 in terms of our what's working and what's not update for 2024. So let's get right into it. Alright, so I wanted to do this in reverse, so from what is least used to most used on a daily basis. The least used planner out of the 5 actually is my photo journal, because I only sit with it at the end of the week when I get to actually print out photos on my Polaroid high print and essentially place a collection of those photos for each day. So I'm sorry there's no visual aid here. I will do that. I will do a flip through eventually. I just have to be able to cover the photos that have sensitive or private content first. Okay. The second on that list from what is least used is actually my daily reflection and gratitude journal. Surprisingly, because it's supposed to be used daily, but I'm not really using it as often. I'm actually not bringing it around with me as an EDC. So it stays at home. And I don't have a specific schedule for it when I actually get to use it, but I usually sit down with it in the evenings when I still have time, maybe every other day. So how I've started to use this, let me show you the main part, which is the weekly view. So how have I used this? Again, I've stuck with this format of putting a phrase, a quote, a proverb on the left side. Okay, so it's isolated per date because I want it to be relevant on that date. And then I started putting in explanations on the right side in just 4 lines, 4 or less, because there are some days I only have 2 lines. Essentially, this portion would answer the question, how is the quote related to your life today, or how is it relevant to you? So that's essentially what I've been using this for. So I don't really need to spend time on it daily. I can just revisit the day and then pick out an event that I want to highlight and think of a proverb saying a phrase or a quote in relation to that. Okay, so in terms of the monthly section, I've been using it in a very minimalist way, actually. So I think I mentioned this in the previous video before. I get to use this again per date in just 4 lines, and then I just input highlights in short phrases. Okay, so some keywords to basically remind me of what happened that day. So there's essentially no sentences written on here. Those are 4 individual lines about highlights or key events of the day. And I plan to do the same for the rest. As you can see, I have barely decorated anything. I've inputted a few holidays, but yeah, that's essentially it. Okay, so I'll explain why I have this on here later when we get to my personal planner. So the entire planner actually gives me the feeling that there is no pressure to write. So those are the first two main parts that I use here, the weekly view and then the monthly view. But I also make use of this My 100. So I'm not gonna show you the information here, but essentially you can see here it's my income and tithe obligation. So I will input on the first and third column my salary and any bonus that comes in, any extra pay that I get, and then the 10% of which for tithing. So I have, for example, here some numbers, some figures, and I will put a check mark on the box when I've actually transferred that to the church. So it's such a minimalist way of using this planner. I think that's why I'm really happy with it this year. There's really no pressure to fill it out on a daily basis. So that's great for me. Okay, so let me set this aside. Let's move on to my financial and faith planner, because I don't have my work planner again, as I mentioned earlier. But that is my third least used, because it's something I don't decorate. I don't use it for anything personal, and it mainly holds information, plans, appointments, schedules involving my work. So that's also the reason why it's difficult for me to show it to you guys, just for the sake of my work's privacy. So this is my financial and faith planner. So I did mention that I've already discussed three. So this is actually the second second to the last planner on the list, because it is really used, like daily. Okay, actively used on the daily, and actually it's been going great. And this one I can definitely share. Let's start with the financial side of things. So I tried to fill this out, but the goal setting, it's not going to work if it's a purely financial thing. So I have, again, my income flow here. So I put in salaries, bonuses, interests from investments. I will do that consistently for all the quarterlies. That's going great. So what's working here is I get to keep and list down all of my bills to pay on the monthly spread. So why is that important? First off, being able to put in on which specific date that a bill is due, and when I actually paid for it. That's really important for me. I started doing that here on the latter half of the month. I indicate when I paid for something. So for example, this bill was due on the 24th, but I paid for it on the 21st. That's important to me because it makes it easy to keep track of all my actual expenses. Keeps me up to date when I actually paid for a bill. It helps me to keep track and actually inform certain companies, or when I have paid for their bills and they're actually contesting it that I haven't. So that's something that's been working. Another thing that's been working, so I'm going to consistently do that, are these icons, right? All these icons that I inputted per month. So I will add to these as the bills come, and I can list down their due dates and everything. So why is this working for me? Being able to use these icons as visual aid actually helps make my checking faster. So I can immediately identify the content of what date. I can strategize easily where I am in the year and how far till my next bill. So that's another thing that's been working. What else? Let's go to the weekly view. So I've been consistently tracking 4 different allowances or funds that I have. So I have my allowance, my meals, my gas fund, and my cat fund. And what I've been doing is on the daily, I list down the actual expenses, the details of that expense, and at the end of the day. I list down how much is left of my budget. So in doing this every week for this month has helped me stay on track with my actual budget. So I haven't been overspending on any front. Okay, so I'm not exhausting the money that I have for my cats, for my gas. Right? So I've been doing that up to this point. I did not spend anything yesterday, for example, and I will be updating this again. Okay, and by the end of the month, I will make this sort of summary where I will list how much was allocated per fund. So this includes my essentials, my bills to pay, debts. So I would indicate the allocated fund from the very first or from the very start of the year, the actual spent, how much is left to carry it over to February's fund. So February's fund, I will be using the salary from January. So you guys saw the amount on the quarterly. I've listed it here as well, and I will just break this down into the essentials and how much I have to set aside for each. I would have to wait for the other bills before I can fill out the rest. Otherwise, I will just put an asterisk there, place in the full allowance that's left, and then just remove that from the allowance as the bill comes. So I hope that makes sense. The purpose of this is to keep me on track with my budget and to keep me from overspending. So I haven't filled out the rest yet, but this is essentially how it's going to be every start of the month. I've actually placed some headers, okay, and these sticker highlights from HPC by Anyang, just to already set up every start of the month. I will have the same. Okay, so I have that ready for until March. So I'm hoping to keep that system unless something changes. Then I left April onwards blank, so I can still have the freedom to make adjustments as I go. So this is another thing that's been working. And since it's working, I'm going to keep at it. I also have keys here just to highlight how I paid for certain items. If I used an e-wallet, cash, yellow if I used a direct debit payment, orange rather for direct debit payment, and yellow for credit card payments. Okay, so that's it for the financial side. The negatives on here is honestly, I feel like with a planner this thick, and I'm only using, okay, the first half, the monthly, the quarterly, and the weekly view for my finances. This is essentially the break. I am using this for my finances, and the rest of this will be for my Bible study. So I think a negative, if I should really nitpick here, is that I should have gotten a monthly booklet from Sterling Inc. for my financial tracking instead. The N2, this is a full year. It offers so much space, so I feel like I'm not really maximizing it. So it's something that I have to keep in mind when I make my system for 2025. Of course, we've already started the year. I am not about to order just a booklet from Sterling Inc. and replace this one because I've already started here. So this is something that I have to sort of stick with for the rest of the year, but at least I am starting to get, as early as now, ideas of how to adjust my system for the next year to minimize costs, of course, as well as to minimize the chunk of what I actually bring around. So this is actually really hefty. So for those of you who want to see a comparison with the regular Hobonichi Weeks, yep, it's that thick. The difference is that large in terms of the thickness there. Okay, so that's yeah. That's actually it for my financial planning. I don't really have to share with you guys what I'm planning for 2025 yet, but yes, I'm already planning this early on. Okay, So let's move on to the faith planner Bible study side. So this is very straightforward. I have this entire tracker, okay, where I list the kind of icons that I'll use in order to indicate if I was able to read the Bible, have my quiet time for that day. And each page here is dedicated to just one date. So you'll see I've been keeping up with my SOAP method. This is the scripture, observation on the passage, application for my life, and prayer. So pray the scripture back to God. Except on days when I go to church, I actually write down what I learned from the actual teaching or the message given then. So I break away from the SOAP method on Sundays. Okay, so this is very straightforward. I'm just using the note section, so it's a free-flowing kind of writing. Some days I don't get to write at all. So there's no direct pros or cons for this one, but I am considering for 2025 to just use one of my unused notebooks instead of purchasing a planner for this purpose. Simply because I'm just putting in the dates, nothing fancy. You can see I'm not even decorating. Why am I not decorating? I want to focus on the word. There's no need for aesthetics for my faith planner. Okay, so that's it for this one. So that's so mostly what's working and what's not been working on the financial side is really just the chunk of this. I don't need so much space. But what's been working is how I've been maximizing, I think, the monthly pages, how I've been able to keep on budget with my weekly pages, and how I can actually appreciate the income that's coming in because of the quarterlies. So that's it for this one. And finally, the fifth and most used definitely would be my personal planner and journal. So this one is my most used and definitely my most open companion for 2024. And this is definitely a keeper for me for the coming years. I know for sure that the N1 or the TN size planner of Sterling Ink will be a staple in my planner system for many years to come, as long as Catherine continues to offer it at Sterling Ink. So I hope she does. So some pros, what's been working? Let's jump into the weekly view, because writing here on the daily has been so easy. The weekly view serves as my main journal space with some important schedules listed in time blocking format, so you can see okay, it's kind of hard to see if it's here. Let's look for. So I have some like hours with those bubble stickers. I have some here as well. So here, as well as here, you can see that there are some items that are being time blocked. So even here, I have some time blocking things going on. And I'm starting to experiment already for the following week. So I started putting breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner at the very bottom. I haven't been doing that. So being that this is the first month, I've been mainly experimenting with it. But what's been steady is the journaling for the weekly view. Yeah, and every break between my writing is a separation of ideas or topics or events. Essentially, yeah, writing on this daily is so easy. And I think this is something that will stick with me because I like writing in this vertical format. My brain works this way. It was actually hard for my brain to write journal entries on the Hobonichi Beaks because it's all horizontal. So this is great. I also love being able to input small stickers, some decoration there. These ones are from Paperica, like it's an entire sheet. So I made use of all the stickers on there and then some. If you're wondering about this tape, this actually ripped a bit from the zipper of my jacket last night, so I had to tape that so it doesn't get damaged any further. Yeah, some decor, some mini icon stickers to indicate certain foods that I ate. I've been addicted to matcha latte lately at work, so I keep buying that, even though it's 150 pesos per cup. It's insanely expensive if you think about it. It's compounding. Yeah. But I love how this works as both functional and personal for me. I do get to put in time blocks, and then the remaining space will be used for the journaling part. So it's not difficult for me to actually separate the journal from the scheduling. But most of my scheduling actually falls on the monthly view. But this is actually kind of weird because it's sort of it's still messy. Okay, it's still a mishmash of schedules, and then I also have some highlights here. I put a review down here. I don't know. I still haven't fully figured this out yet. So I'm still trying to understand myself how I want to use these. I'm actually starting to get the idea that I want my finances on here. But again, I have a financial planner for that purpose. So I'm going to try to avoid merging the purposes of my planners so there's not a lot of redundancy going on. Okay. What else has been working? The notes section. My cats are fighting. I'm gonna let them. So I have on the very first page of the notes section, I've created an index. So it's still short because I haven't filled this out a lot yet. I do have my bonus allocations, the important items that I have to save up for, some insurance policies, allocations for sinking funds, what I want to spend on. At the bottom here, I actually placed what I've already spent on, just so I can keep track. Some more records, wish lists. I have here an expense summary, and I'll be doing this for each month. So I'll be filling out like 6 spreads of these for 12 months of the year. This is coming together very, very slowly. And there's still a lot of layouts that I want to experiment on. I had a lot of trackers from my previous Hobonichi weeks, but the thing is, this one has a lot more space, so I can actually spread out my previous trackers the way I couldn't before. So now, yeah, but so far it's working for me. I love the N1 size. What hasn't been working is my cats are going insane. So what's not been working for me on this one? It would definitely be the quarterly section, habit trackers. It's really not working. I put in here skincare AM and PM, but I have been so lazy. I still look good, but I haven't been handling that, and I feel like this is such a difficult thing for me because I don't even flip here often. So I'm gonna start trying to put in the habit tracker on here. Okay, just minimizing it and writing it down in a horizontal format. So I have to rethink what else I can use my quarterlies for besides habit tracking. What else is not working? Definitely the goal setting page. This one, this entire spread. This is really hard to use because I've never really considered breaking down a specific goal for a period of a year. So this is also something that I don't actively monitor, but I did try with some categories. My style of essentially keeping track with my goals is just to highlight these, like body, mind, heart, soul, and mula, for the things that I want to track, the things that I want to improve on in my life. And what I do there is see on a daily basis what I have done to address each of these. It doesn't have to be consistent. It doesn't have to be like on the daily I have to do this in order to achieve this. That's not really how I function in terms of goals. So I'm not sure if I can fully maximize this the coming years, but I can just leave it as is, or maybe create a vision board or something next time around. So yeah, that's not working. The quarterlies are not working. I have no idea what to put here on the priorities portion. I do have birthdays down here, but I think even that is not working. I think I would prefer to have the birthdays on the monthly view. But yeah, again, that's something that I have to revisit. So far, this is still a huge experiment for me for the first month. But at least the main part, the weekly view for my schedules, for my personal journaling, it's doing great. It's all good. And the notes section is also coming together nicely despite taking a while to get to this point. Yeah. So that's it for what's been working and what's not for all of my planners. I think I will be trying to keep myself from preparing the first week of February. I think that's Feb 6 to 9 or 6 to 10. I don't recall. But essentially, I'm going to try to keep myself from preparing the next week on my planners, just so I can actually sit down and show you how I do the weekly setup and planning for all of my planners. So I will be featuring on the next video, again, this personal planner, my finance planner, as well as my work planner, because those are the three planners that I do some setup work on a weekly basis. So yeah, thanks so much for reaching this point, guys. I hope you learned a thing or two. I hope you're also aware that the purpose of my filming this video is to essentially encourage you to do a review of your own planners. It has to work for you, so it's not supposed to be a sort of thing where you tell yourself, since this is how I designed it at the start of the year, this is how it's supposed to be for the rest of the year. I mean, if you're that kind of person and you're into that kind of consistency, well then, I guess that if that works for you, go ahead by all means. But my point for this video is to let you know that you can make adjustments as you go. It doesn't even have to be monthly. Like, I do this monthly just so I can get a better macro view and appreciation of what I've done or the system that I've used for the entire month, and see where I can make adjustments. But it doesn't have to be that long, right? If you want to make changes after the first 2 weeks or after just 1 week or even just a few days, and that works for you, then go ahead and do it. Make those changes. Your planner doesn't have to be perfect and all dolled up. It just has to work for you. Okay, so thanks so much for watching, guys, and reaching up to this point. I'll see you again on the next one.